There is a secret that the greatest leaders throughout history have known. A truth so profound yet so simple that when you grasp it fully, you will never again wonder why some teams achieve the impossible while others struggle with the ordinary. This secret is not hidden in complex theories or locked away in business schools. It lives in the space between human hearts, in the invisible threads that connect one soul to another when they share a vision bigger than themselves. The secret is this: impossible becomes inevitable when ordinary people unite around an extraordinary purpose and believe not just in the dream, but in each other. You see, teams that create the impossible are not made up of superhumans. They are made up of people just like you, people with fears and doubts, people who have failed before, people who sometimes wonder if they are enough. But something magical happens when these ordinary individuals come together with a shared belief that what they are building matters more than their individual limitation. They become something greater than the sum of their parts. They become a force of nature. And you can build such a team. You can become the leader who transforms everyday people into history makers. But first, you must understand what makes the impossible possible. It begins with vision, but not just any vision. It begins with a vision so clear, so compelling, so emotionally charged, that it pulls people out of their comfort zones and into a future they can barely imagine but desperately want to create. When President Kennedy announced that America would put a man on the moon before the end of the decade, he was not speaking to scientists and engineers alone. He was speaking to a nation's soul. He was painting a picture so vivid that hundreds of thousands of people suddenly saw themselves as part of something magnificent. The vision must be more than words on a wall or bullet points in a presentation. It must be a living, breathing thing that people can feel in their bones. It must answer the deepest human need to be part of something that matters. When your team members go home at night, when they lie in bed just before sleep takes them, they should think about the work you are doing together and feel a surge of excitement, a sense of privilege that they get to be part of this mission. This is where most leaders fail. They focus on what they want to achieve instead of why it matters. They talk about market share and profit margins instead of human impact. They motivate with fear instead of hope. But teams that create the impossible are driven by something far more powerful than quarterly targets. They are driven by the knowledge that their work will make the world better, that future generations will benefit from what they are building today. You must learn to speak to the heart before you speak to the mind. People will work hard for money. They will work harder for recognition, but they will move mountains for a cause they believe in. The second element that transforms ordinary teams into impossible achieving forces is trust, but not the surface-level trust that comes from shared coffee breaks and team-building exercises. The kind of trust that creates the impossible is deep, bone deep, soul deep. It is the trust that comes when people know beyond any doubt that their teammates will catch them when they fall, will support them when they struggle, will celebrate with them when they succeed. This trust cannot be mandated or manufactured through policies and procedures. It must be earned, moment by moment, decision by decision, conversation by conversation. It grows when leaders show vulnerability instead of trying to appear perfect. It flourishes when team members are allowed to make mistakes without fear of punishment or shame. It deepens when people feel safe to speak the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. When a team member comes to you with a problem, your response in that moment either builds trust or erodes it. When someone admits they are struggling, your reaction either creates safety or fear. When a person suggests an idea that seems crazy, your response either encourages innovation or shuts down creativity. You are building trust or destroying it with every interaction. There is no neutral ground. Trust also means being transparent about challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties. Teams that achieve the impossible do not pretend that the path will be smooth. They acknowledge that there will be storms, that there will be moments when failure seems more likely than success, that there will be times when they question whether they can actually do what they set out to do. But they face these challenges together, with honesty and openness. They share the burden of uncertainty, instead of letting it crush individual spirits. When you hide problems from your team, you rob them of the opportunity to be part of the solution. When you pretend everything is fine when it is not, you create a culture of facade instead of authenticity. Impossible achievements require real people facing real challenges with real determination. The third pillar of impossible achieving teams is the recognition and celebration of individual uniqueness within collective purpose. Every person on your team brings something that no one else can bring. Every person has gifts, talents, perspectives, and experiences that make them irreplaceable. Your job as a leader is not to make everyone the same. Your job is to help each person become the best version of themselves while working toward the shared goal. This means knowing your people deeply. It means understanding not just what they do well, but what energizes them, what drains them, what excites them, what scares them. It means caring about their growth as human beings, not just their productivity. When people feel truly seen and valued for who they are, when they know that their unique contribution matters, they will give you their best effort. They will push themselves beyond what they thought possible, because they know their success is intertwined with the team's success. But this celebration of individuality must never become favoritism or create division. The team that achieves the impossible maintains a delicate balance between honoring individual gifts and maintaining collective commitment. Every person matters, but no person matters more than the mission. Every contribution is valued, but the shared goal remains supreme. This is where great leaders separate themselves from good managers. Managers assign tasks and measure results. Leaders unleash potential and inspire greatness. Managers ask what needs to be done. Leaders ask what becomes possible when we combine your strengths with their strengths in service of our shared vision. Communication is the fourth essential element, but not the kind of communication you might expect. Teams that create the impossible do not just share information. They share souls. They communicate with a depth and authenticity that most people reserve for their closest relationships. They tell the truth, even when it hurts. They listen with the intention to understand, not just to respond. They ask questions that matter, questions that go beyond surface-level updates, and dig into the real challenges, the real opportunities, the real feelings that drive human behavior. When team members communicate with this level of depth, something beautiful happens. They stop working for the team and start working as the team. The boundaries between individual effort and collective achievement begin to blur. Success becomes shared. Failure becomes shared. Dreams become shared. You must model this level of communication first. You must be the one who shares not just what you are thinking, but what you are feeling. You must be the one who asks not just about project status, but about personal well-being. You must be the one who admits when you do not have all the answers, when you are uncertain about the path forward, when you need help from your team members. When you communicate with this level of vulnerability and authenticity, you give others permission to do the same. You create an environment where real conversation can happen, where real problems can be solved, where real innovation can emerge. Communication also means creating systems and rhythms that keep everyone connected to the vision and to each other. It means regular conversations about not just what is happening, but why it matters. It means celebrating progress, even small progress, because momentum is built one step at a time. It means addressing conflicts quickly and directly, before they fester and poison the team dynamic. The fifth element that enables teams to achieve the impossible is their approach to failure and obstacles. Most teams are destroyed by failure. Teams that create the impossible are forged by it. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the price of admission to success. Failure is the tuition you pay to learn what you need to know, to ultimately achieve what you set out to achieve. When your team encounters failure, and they will, your response determines whether that failure becomes a stepping stone or a stumbling block. If you respond with blame, anger, or punishment, you teach your team to hide problems, to avoid risks, to play it safe. But teams that achieve the impossible cannot play it safe. They must venture into uncharted territory. They must try things that have never been tried before. They must push the boundaries of what is known and comfortable. This requires a culture where failure is met with curiosity instead of condemnation. When something does not work, the question is not who is to blame, but what can we learn? When a strategy fails, the focus is not on punishment, but on adaptation. When a team member makes a mistake, the response is not shame, but support and coaching. This does not mean accepting mediocrity or lowering standards. It means understanding that high standards and high support go hand in hand. It means pushing people to be their best while providing the safety net that allows them to take the risks necessary for breakthrough achievement. Teams that create the impossible also understand that obstacles are not roadblocks. Obstacles are redirections. Every challenge that appears in your path is an invitation to become more creative, more resourceful, more determined than you were before. The obstacle becomes the way forward. When you stop trying to go around it and start figuring out how to go through it, over it, or under it. Your team must learn to see obstacles as opportunities in disguise. Every problem they solve makes them stronger. Every challenge they overcome increases their confidence. Every setback they recover from proves to them that they are more resilient than they realized. When obstacles appear, and they will appear regularly when you are attempting the impossible, you must help your team reframe the situation. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to us?" help them ask, "What is this trying to teach us?" Instead of focusing on how unfair the situation is, help them focus on how they can respond with excellence. Instead of dwelling on what they cannot control, help them identify what they can control and pour their energy into that. The sixth principle that enables impossible achievement is the power of incremental progress combined with breakthrough thinking. Teams that create the impossible do not wait for perfect conditions or complete clarity before they begin. They start where they are, with what they have, and they improve continuously. They understand that perfection is the enemy of progress, that done is better than perfect, that momentum matters more than flawless execution. But they also think bigger than incremental improvement. They regularly step back from the day-to-day work and ask themselves, what would be possible if we were not limited by current constraints? They imagine solutions that do not yet exist. They envision outcomes that seem unrealistic by today's standards. They hold the tension between being practical enough to make progress and visionary enough to achieve breakthrough results. They mean creating space for both tactical execution and strategic. It means having conversation about what needs to happen this week and what could happen if you completely reimagine the problem you are trying to solve. It means celebrating small wins while keeping the ultimate vision alive and compelling. Progress and breakthrough are not opposites. They are partners. Progress builds the foundation that makes breakthrough possible. Breakthrough provides the energy that fuels continued progress. Your role as a leader is to help your team maintain this balance, to keep them grounded in practical action while keeping their imagination alive with possibility. The seventh element is something that most leadership books will not tell you about, but it may be the most important of all. Teams that achieve the impossible develop what I call sacred dissatisfaction. They become deeply, profoundly unsatisfied with the status quo. They cannot tolerate things staying the way they are. They feel a holy discontent with mediocrity, with inefficiency, with injustice, with problems that could be solved but are not being solved. This dissatisfaction is not negative energy. It is not complaining or whining or blame. It is the fuel that drives innovation. It is the fire that burns in the belly of people who refuse to accept that things cannot be better. It is the restlessness that keeps teams pushing forward even when progress is slow and obstacles are many. You must cultivate this sacred dissatisfaction in yourself and in your team members. You must help them see what could be different, what should be different, what must be different if you are going to achieve your impossible goal. You must help them feel the gap between current reality and desired future so deeply that staying where you are becomes more uncomfortable than pushing forward into the unknown. But this dissatisfaction must be balanced with gratitude for progress made and appreciation for current team members. Sacred dissatisfaction with the situation must never become dissatisfaction with the people. You are dissatisfied with the problem, not the person. You are unsatisfied with the current results, not the current effort. You want better outcomes, not different people. The eighth principle is the creation of what I call momentum rituals. Teams that achieve the impossible understand that momentum is fragile and must be protected and fed. They create regular rhythms and practices that keep energy high, focus sharp, and commitment strong. These are not empty team-building exercises or meaningless traditions. These are purposeful practices that reinforce the team's identity, values, and mission. Momentum rituals might include weekly story sharing, where team members talk about moments when they saw the impact of their work. They might include monthly vision casting sessions, where the leader reminds everyone why the work matters and paints a picture of the future they are creating together. They might include quarterly reflection sessions, where the team celebrates progress, learns from setbacks, and recommits to the mission. The key is that these rituals serve the deeper purpose of keeping the team connected to their why and to each other. They create touchstones that team members can return to when motivation wanes or when the work becomes difficult. They remind people that they are part of something bigger than their daily tasks. They reinforce the culture and values that make impossible achievement possible. You must be intentional about creating these momentum rituals for your team. You cannot assume that motivation will maintain itself or that people will remember why they are working so hard without regular reminders. You must create systems that feed the human spirit as well as systems that manage the workflow. The ninth element is learning agility. Teams that create the impossible are learning machines. They consume new information, experiment with new approaches, and adapt their strategies based on what they discover. They are not attached to being right about their initial assumptions. They are committed to finding what actually works. This means creating a culture where curiosity is valued more than certainty, where questions are welcomed more than answers, where experimentation is encouraged more than perfection. It means regularly asking, what are we learning about our customers, our market, our capabilities, our processes? It means testing assumptions instead of defending them. It means seeking feedback instead of avoiding it. Learning agility also means being willing to change course when evidence suggests a different path might be better. Teams that achieve the impossible are not stubborn about methods. They are stubborn about mission. They will try different approaches, different strategies, different tactics, but they never give up on the core vision that brought them together. You must model learning agility for your team. You must show them that it is safe to admit when you do not know something, when you have made an incorrect assumption, when you need to adjust your approach. You must demonstrate that leaders who learn and adapt are stronger than leaders who pretend to have all the answers. The 10th principle is the cultivation of what I call generous ambition. Teams that achieve the impossible are ambitious, not just for themselves, but for others. They want to succeed, not just to prove their own capabilities, but to create value for customers, to solve problems that matter, to make the world better in some measurable way. This generous ambition prevents teams from becoming insular or self-serving. It keeps them connected to the larger purpose that makes their work meaningful. It reminds them that their success is not an end in itself, but a means to creating positive impact beyond themselves. When your team understands that their success will benefit others, when they see how their work improves lives, or solves problems, or creates opportunities for other people, their motivation becomes deeper and more sustainable. They are no longer working just for paychecks or recognition or career advancement. They are working for something bigger than themselves. You must help your team make the connection between their daily work and the positive impact it creates in the world. You must share stories of how their efforts have made a difference. You must help them see the faces behind the statistics, the real people who will benefit from what they are building. The 11th element that enables impossible achievement is what I call principled persistence. This is different from blind stubbornness or naive optimism. Principled persistence means continuing to push forward in alignment with your core values, even when the path is difficult, even when progress is slow, even when others suggest you should give up. It means being persistent about the right things in the right way for the right reasons. Principled persistence requires wisdom to know when to persevere and when to pivot, when to push harder and when to rest, when to maintain course and when to adjust strategy. It means being persistent about the vision while being flexible about the methods. It means never giving up on the mission while being willing to change tactics. Teams that achieve the impossible face moments when continuing seems pointless, when the obstacles seem too large, when the resources seem too limited, when the timeline seems too compressed. In these moments, principled persistence is what carries them through. They persist not because they are stubborn, but because they believe deeply in what they are trying to accomplish. They persist not because they refuse to face reality, but because they choose to focus on possibility within reality. You must help your team develop this kind of persistence. You must help them understand the difference between productive struggle and unproductive suffering. You must teach them to persist when persistence serves the mission, and to pivot when pivoting serves the mission. The 12th principle is the creation of what I call innovation safe zones. Teams that achieve the impossible must regularly venture into uncharted territory. They must try things that have never been tried before. They must experiment with approaches that might not work. This requires creating spaces and times where innovation is not just allowed but expected. Innovation safe zones are times and places where team members can explore new ideas without fear of failure or judgment. These might be dedicated brainstorming sessions where no idea is too crazy to consider. They might be prototype periods where team members can build rough versions of potential solutions. They might be learning labs where the team can experiment with new tools or techniques. The key is that these innovation safe zones are separate from regular execution time. When you are in execution mode, you need focus, efficiency, and reliability. When you are in innovation mode, you need Creativity, experimentation, and risk-taking. Both are necessary, but they require different mindsets and different rules. You must create explicit innovation safe zones for your team and protect these spaces fiercely. When team members are in innovation mode, you must resist the temptation to ask for immediate practical application. You must allow ideas to be born and grow before you evaluate their usefulness. You must encourage wild thinking before you impose practical constraints. The 13th element is emotional resilience. Not just individual emotional resilience, but collective emotional resilience. Teams that achieve the impossible experience emotional highs and lows together. They celebrate victories together and support each other through disappointments. They develop the ability to maintain hope during difficult periods and to stay grounded during exciting periods. Collective emotional resilience means that when one team member is struggling, others can provide strength. When one person loses hope, others can hold the vision. When one individual faces a personal challenge, the team rallies to provide support. This does not happen automatically. It must be cultivated intentionally. You must create an environment where people feel safe to share their struggles, where vulnerability is met with support instead of judgment, where personal challenges are seen as team challenges. You must model emotional honesty yourself, sharing not just your thoughts about the work, but your feelings about the journey. You must show your team that it is human to have difficult emotions, and that sharing these emotions makes the team stronger, not weaker. Collective emotional resilience also means celebrating together in meaningful ways. When the team achieves a milestone, when someone overcomes a significant challenge, when progress is made toward the impossible goal, you must pause to acknowledge these victories. Celebration is not frivolous. Celebration is fuel for the journey ahead. The 14th principle is stakeholder alignment. Teams that achieve the impossible do not work in isolation. They build support systems around themselves. They align stakeholders, sponsors, customers, and partners around the vision they are trying to achieve. This means over-communicating about the mission, the progress, the challenges, and the support needed. It means helping others understand not just what you are trying to accomplish, but why it matters and how they can help. Stakeholder alignment requires patience and persistence because different people need different types of information and different levels of detail. Some stakeholders need to understand the big picture vision. Others need to see detailed project plans. Some need to know about financial implications. Others care more about timeline and resource requirements. You must become skilled at translating your team's work into language that resonates with different audiences. You must learn to tell the story of your impossible mission in ways that inspire support from people with different backgrounds, priorities, and concerns. Stakeholder alignment also means being transparent about challenges and setbacks. When things are not going according to plan, you must communicate proactively instead of waiting for others to discover problems. Trust is built through consistent communication, even when the news is not entirely positive. The 15th element is what I call legacy thinking. Teams that achieve the impossible are motivated not just by immediate results, but by the long-term impact of their work. They think about how their efforts will influence future teams, future projects, future possibilities. They work with the understanding that they are not just completing a project, but setting a precedent, creating a proof of concept, demonstrating what becomes possible when ordinary people unite around extraordinary purpose. Legacy thinking means considering how your current decisions will affect future opportunities. It means building capabilities that will outlast the current project. It means documenting lessons learned so that future teams can build on your foundation instead of starting from scratch. It means developing people in ways that prepare them for future challenges and opportunities. You must help your team think beyond the immediate timeline of your current impossible goal. You must help them see how their current efforts are building capabilities, relationships, and reputation that will enable even greater achievements in the future. You must show them that the real victory is not just achieving the impossible goal, but proving that impossible goals can be achieved. The 16th principle
is systematic optimization. Teams that achieve the impossible are constantly looking for ways to improve their effectiveness. They regularly examine their processes, their communication patterns, their decision-making systems, their resource allocation, and their time management. They ask themselves, how can we do this better, faster, with less waste, with greater impact? But systematic optimization is not about micromanagement or obsessive efficiency. It is about creating more space for the work that matters most by eliminating or streamlining the work that matters least. It is about removing friction that slows down progress and removing barriers that prevent creativity. Systematic optimization means regular team retrospectives where you ask what is working well, that we should do more of, what is not working well, that we should do more of, what is not working well, that we should stop doing, and what are we not doing, that we should start doing. It means experimenting with new approaches and measuring the results. It means being willing to change systems and processes when better alternatives emerge. You must lead these optimization efforts while being careful not to optimize the soul out of your team's work. The goal is not mechanical efficiency. The goal is creating conditions where human creativity and passion can flourish in service of the impossible mission. The 17th element is what I call strategic patience. Teams that achieve the impossible understand that meaningful change takes time, that building something worthwhile cannot be rushed, that sustainable success requires laying proper foundations, even when external pressure demands immediate results. Strategic patience means resisting the temptation to cut corners when deadlines loom. It means investing in capabilities and relationships that will pay dividends later, even when they do not show immediate returns. It means sometimes saying no to opportunities that would distract from the core mission, even when those opportunities seem attractive. Strategic patience also means understanding that team development cannot be accelerated beyond natural human limits. Trust builds over time. Skills develop through practice and repetition. Confidence grows through experience and success. You cannot mandate these things into existence through policies and procedures. You must create conditions where they can grow naturally. You must help your team balance urgency about results with patience about process. You must show them how to push hard for progress while allowing time for the relationships and capabilities that make sustainable progress possible.
The day-to-day principle is purposeful diversity. Teams that achieve the impossible deliberately bring together people with different backgrounds, perspectives, experiences, and thinking styles. They understand that breakthrough solutions require breakthrough thinking, and breakthrough thinking emerges when different minds approach problems from different angles. Purposeful diversity is not about meeting quotas or checking boxes. It is about recognizing that homogeneous thinking produces incremental results while diverse thinking produces innovative results. It is about understanding that your team's collective blind spots are smaller when individual blind spots are different. Purposeful diversity means seeking out people who see the world differently than you do, who have different strengths and different concerns, who bring different questions and different assumptions to the work. It means creating an environment where these different perspectives can be shared safely and where disagreement is seen as a source of insight rather than a threat to harmony. You must model appreciation for different perspectives and different approaches. You must show your team that diversity of thought is a competitive advantage, not a challenge to manage. You must help people understand that the goal is not to think alike, but to think together towards shared objectives. The 19th element is what I call resourceful abundance. Teams that achieve the impossible learn to see opportunities and possibilities where others see limitations and constraints. They develop the ability to do more with less, to find creative solutions within tight budgets, to leverage relationships and partnerships to extend their capabilities. Resourceful abundance is a mindset that says we have everything we need to get started and we will figure out how to get everything we need to finish. It is the opposite of scarcity thinking, which focuses on what is missing, what is lacking, what cannot be done without additional resources. Resourceful abundance does not mean being naive about real constraints or pretending that resources do not matter.
It means focusing creative energy on working within constraints rather than complaining about constraints. It means asking, how can we accomplish our mission with what we have available rather than waiting until we have everything we think we need. You must help your team develop this resourceful abundance mindset. You must show them examples of how constraints can spark creativity, how limitations can force innovation, how working with less can lead to breakthrough solutions that would never have been discovered in resource-rich environments. The 20th and final principle is what I call transcendent celebration. Teams that achieve the impossible do not just celebrate results. They celebrate transformation. They celebrate the people they have become through the process of attempting the impossible. They celebrate the relationships they have built, the capabilities they have developed, the confidence they have gained, the resilience they have proven. Transcendent celebration means recognizing that achieving the impossible changes everyone involved. Team members discover strengths they did not know they had. They develop capabilities they never thought possible. They form bonds that last beyond the project. They prove to themselves that they are capable of more than they previously believed. When you finally achieve what once seemed impossible, you must take time to help your team understand the magnitude of what they have accomplished, not just in terms of external results, but in terms of internal transformation. You must help them see how they have grown, how they have changed, how they have become living proof that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they unite around a compelling vision. This celebration is not the end of the journey. It is preparation for the next impossible goal. Because once a team has achieved the impossible once, they understand that impossible is not a fixed category. What seems impossible today becomes achievable tomorrow when you apply the principles that turn ordinary groups into extraordinary teams. Teams that create the impossible are not born. They are built person by person, conversation by conversation, decision by decision, day by day. They are built by leaders who understand that their job is not to have all the answers, but to create an environment where answers can emerge. They are built by people who choose to believe in possibility even when evidence suggests limitation. They are built through the daily practice of these principles, through the commitment to keep growing, keep learning, keep supporting each other toward a future that exists first in vision and then in reality. You have the opportunity to build such a team. You have the ability to become the kind of leader who helps ordinary people achieve extraordinary results. The principles are not mysterious. The path is not hidden. What is required is commitment, consistency, and courage. Commitment to the long-term development of people and capabilities. Consistency in applying these principles even when it would be easier to take shortcuts. Courage to attempt something that matters, something that makes a difference, something that seems impossible until you make it inevitable. Your impossible goal is waiting for you to build the team that can achieve it. The people who will help you create the impossible are already around you. They may not yet know they are capable of impossible achievement, but they are. Your job is to help them discover that capability, to create the conditions where that capability can flourish, to provide the vision that calls forth their best efforts in service of something bigger than themselves. The impossible becomes inevitable when the right people unite around the right purpose with the right commitment to each other and to excellence. You can build that team. You can provide that leadership. You can create that future. The only question is whether you will choose to begin today with the people you have in the circumstances you face toward the impossible goal that calls to your heart and demands the best you have to offer. The impossible is waiting for you to make it real.